afternoon. Good afternoon. For those who are new to my channel, sitting in front of you is Mapula Mipolsachisa. I am a content creator. I am an attorney, and this is the Lawyer Corner. We do Lawyer Corner, we educate, we inform, and we ask questions. Stay tuned. Click on the red button that says subscribe at the bottom. And for those who are returning, thank you. I really appreciate it. When I started this channel, it was just me sitting in my room thinking, okay, how can I create some useful content on YouTube? So I started off with explaining my journey, how I became an attorney, what I did in school, what can help you. And I just started reaching a little bit of a block on saying, I don't know what more to tell you on how to become an attorney, on how to be a good law student, on how to study and all that, because there are certain things I can't tell you how to study. I can help you and give you pointers, but everybody studies in their own certain way, and people have their own preferences. So I reached the block, and then I just decided, you know what, I am just going to talk about the legal issues surrounding people around me. So a few weeks back, I did a video on customary marriages. I will put it in the description box, talking about customary marriages, the consequences, the requirements, and the benefits and the pros and cons of it. I just figured today I'm going to be talking about cohabitation. Cohabitation is something that is so common now. Like, the rate of cohabitation increase yearly at 100%. So I just figured, since it is growing at such a big and rapid rate, because a lot of people don't want to get married now, especially people our age. You'll see on Twitter saying, no, I don't believe in marriage. You know, marriage is a trap. The institution of marriage is not the way it used to be. And a lot of people don't want to get married. But on the other hand, they want to be in a relationships that are similar to a marriage, but don't have the consequences of a marriage. And that can be good, and that can also be bad. So I felt the need to do this video, okay, because many couples living together refer themselves as like a common law spouse. Excuse me, I just had my pills. Common law spouses, you know, even though that term is misleading, because in South African legal terms, that term does not exist. When you are in a cohabitation setting, you do have certain benefits only if you enter into a cohabitation agreement. So, in terms of certain legislation, the term spouse has been broadened, and it does include cohabitating couples. And this can be misleading regarding the financial and the legal rights of those people who are living together. So before I delve into it, and before I tell you the topics that I'm going to talk about surrounding cohabitation and cohabitation agreements, I am going to start at the beginning. What is cohabitation? So I live in South Africa, and we have a local term called fat and set, and that is basically a synonym for cohabitation. The word cohabitation comes from the word cohabit, okay? And this basically means living together, being in a sexual relationship without being married. That's basically being in a cohabitation, okay? And then a cohabitation agreement. A cohabitation agreement is a legal form of agreement reached between two people who have chosen to live together, whether homosexual or heterosexual. A cohabitation agreement contains documents for a couple who want to live together in order to protect themselves from unnecessary costs and litigations should their cohabitation break down. They can clearly regulate their property rights and what arrangements might be made for mutual financial support. The agreement also allows the individuals concerned to determine in advance who will keep specific assets and what will happen to specific assets that have been purchased jointly if they separate. So this agreement is intended to bind both parties. One thing about a cohabitation agreement is that it needs to clearly specify that this is not a marriage. This is a cohabitation agreement. So now that we have that out of the line, there are 4 topics that I'm going to talk about surrounding cohabitation, and I'm going to have a little scenario that we are going to be referring to throughout the whole video. So we'll be talking about retirement fund. Number 2, insurance. Number 3, property rights. 4th, inheritance. There are more things that we can talk about, but I just decided to talk about these 4 because I feel like people my age need to find out, and people who want to get into cohabitation agreements need to also know these things. Okay, retirement funds. When it comes to a retirement fund, you need to bear in mind that a retirement / pension is a sector in our lives or in South Africa that is highly regulated. It's like there's a lot of legislation around pension funds and retirement funds, and it is important to fully understand your rights in this regard. As a cohabitating partner, you may want to understand your rights to be nominated as a beneficiary on your partner's retirement fund, and whether you have any rights to claim a share of your partner's pension fund or interest should that person or should the relationship come to an end. And I want us to examine 2 areas separately. So we are going to use a scenario, like I said at the beginning, with myself and Bob. Okay, Maple and Bob are in a relationship together. Mapula comes from Limpopo, and then Bob comes from the Eastern Cape, and they both come to Gauteng and find jobs, somehow find each other, and then they get into a relationship. Mapula has her own apartment, and so does Bob, and then they've been together and they realize that, you know what, we are spending so much time at Bob's place, or we're spending so much time at Mapula's place. Mapula's got a 2-bedroom and it's got a garage, it's very spacious. She's paying maybe like 8,000 rand, 10,000 rand. And then Bob also has a 1-bedroom apartment with a carport. But they're always at Mapula's place because it's bigger, there's more space and all that. So then you get to a point in your relationship where you start talking about finances. I would like to think they start seeing future together, and then they realize that, you know what, Bob's apartment is being paid for, but he's hardly ever there. Shouldn't we rather Bob cancels his lease when it comes to an end and he lives with me? And then that's what happens. People get out of leases and then they start living with their partners. So Bob will leave his place and he will take, maybe he was paying, let's say he was paying 6.5. He takes that 6.5 thousand rand and he says, I will help you pay certain things in the house. I will do certain things. Like that 6,000 will help us. So now that we live together, there's a lot of things that we can just do together instead of doing separately, and we can save a lot. Right? It makes perfect sense. So that is the scenario that we're going to go with. We are now cohabitating. We don't have a cohabitation agreement. Okay? So, retirement fund. I said that I am going to examine the areas separately. So the first area is a beneficiary on your partner's retirement fund, and the second one is a claim to your partner's pension fund interest. Okay, as a beneficiary. So in the case of married people, okay, you and your partner are entitled to nominate each other as beneficiary on your respective retirement funds. The distribution process of the retirement benefits in the event of a member's death is regulated by the Pension Fund Act, in terms of which the retirement fund trustees are required to make a determination. So in making the determination, the trustees must take into account everyone who is financially dependent on the person who has passed away. Financial dependents can include minor children, children from previous marriage, elderly parents, or even siblings that the deceased has been supporting. This means that even if Yeah? You are in a cohabitation agreement with you and Bob. Me and Bob, cohabitation agreement? Yes, we did it. Bob nominates me to say, Mapula's getting my whole retirement fund. There are trustees who are nominated to that retirement fund. The retirement fund has to see, the trustees need to see that Bob was taking care of his grandmother and his father and his little sister. And he has a child there somewhere. And now he has said that Mapula must get everything. The trustees will say that while my partner has nominated me to be the sole beneficiary of his retirement, the proceeds will not necessarily be distributed as such. I think that makes clear sense, especially because I use the scenario. So that is when you are nominated as a beneficiary. So the second scenario is you putting in a claim on your partner's pension fund interest. So in the case of married couples who are seeking a divorce, each spouse may have a claim against the other one's pension fund interest, okay, in respect of pension, provident, and prevention fund. So the interest when you are married and you're getting a divorce, interest is calculated on the day that you get divorced, not on the day that you retire. That's what people need to understand, okay? So where a couple is married in community of property, the pension interest of each spouse forms part of the joint estate, and each spouse will be able to claim half of the pension interest from the date of the divorce. So with that said, people who are living together will have no rights to claim a share of their partner's pension fund should their relationship come to an end. And this can be quite a disadvantage to someone who, for example, Bob and I decided that we are going to have a baby and then now I'm a stay-at-home mom. I cannot put in a claim in his pension fund. So if the relationship comes to an end or the partner die, the partner who is not a member of the retirement fund will have no rights to claim for a share of her partner's pension interest. Risky, right? Risky. In the case where you've been nominated as the sole beneficiary, his family comes first, unfortunately. Even though he said that he wants you to take everything, but they will have to have the discretion to say, we can't give her everything. Mapula can't take everything. They are people who are dependent on this man. So there's two scenarios that I gave you. The first one is if you are the sole beneficiary, the trustee has to take into consideration the fact that there's other people that he might be, and if there aren't any people that he was supporting or people who are dependent on him, then you get the pension fund because he has nominated you. But in the case where you want to file a claim in his pension and he has not nominated you anyway, you're not going to get anything. Okay? Alright. Now, the second point is insurance. This one is a nice one. So, as a cohabitating couple, you are free to nominate each other as beneficiaries on your respective life policies. Okay, this means that should your partner die having nominated you as a beneficiary on their life policy, the proceeds of the policy will be paid directly to you in the event of their death. No questions asked, no nothing. He nominated you and that is what you're getting. You are going to get it because he has nominated you. And but to acquire life policy, but well, this life policy is for the benefit of Mapula. The next point that we are going to talk about is a sensitive one. It is a property one. Remember what we said? Bob left his place and now Bob is living with me. So the ownership of property when it comes to a cohabitating relationship can be essentially particularly tricky, especially if the relationship comes to an end. If you are living together in a long-term relationship, everything everything you buy everything you buy essentially belongs to you. So if your home is registered in your partner's name, that partner has a right to evict you from the property if the relationship comes to an end. And many couples find themselves in a position where the property is registered in one of the parties' name, while the other one contributes financially towards the bond repayments or the home maintenance. Just like I was saying in our scenario, pardon me, that Bob moves in with me, but it's my property, and he just helps me with the bond and helps me with the finance and the maintenance. So in the absence of a written cohabitation agreement, such financial contributions may be difficult for you to prove when the relationship terminates, and can severely prejudice the partner, leaving them with a claim that they cannot put against the property. So this is just a pointer just to show the essentialness of having a cohabitation agreement, because we tend to just forget certain things when we are in relationships, or maybe we are too scared to talk about it because we just feel like, oh, how is he going to take it, or how is she going to take it if I say I want to get into a cohabitation agreement. The mere fact that you guys are having a sexual relationship and living together and financially contributing to each other's lives is a reason for you guys to now talk about a cohabitation agreement, to say, baby, what happens if you die? Because I am invested in this relationship, and I don't want your mother coming here from Eastern Cape taking things that are mine and yours, where I know that I have paid for them. We need to discuss things as to what's going to happen to this when you die, or what's going to happen to this when we decide to separate, so that it's not messy at the end. Our cohabitation agreement is basically to avoid messiness. The last point that we're going to be talking about today is inheritance. Something that all cohabitating couples need to take into consideration is that they enjoy no right to inheritance should their life partner die without a will. Listen to that. You are in a relationship with Bob. Bob dies. Bob doesn't have a will. Bob has assets. They don't involve you. They don't involve you anywhere, anyhow. I can now you decided that you don't want to be married and you want to be in a cohabitation, but you don't want to have a cohabitation agreement, and Bob didn't have a will to nominate beneficiaries. So don't even think. Okay, let me just read what I wrote. The word intestate just means dying without a will. This means that in the absence of a will, a cohabitating partner will have no right to inherit from their partner's deceased estate. Our laws of interstate succession do not offer any legal status on cohabitating partners. They are not in there, they make no mention of them, and hence they will have no benefit when someone dies. You are not recognized as an heir if your partner dies interstate without a will and without a cohabitation agreement. The only way that you can safeguard against this is to ensure that each partner has a valid will, and it will specifically name the other party as a beneficiary. When you have a will, it's easier for Bob to nominate me and say, and I also want a person called Nokula Sutusa, ID number to benefit in this way, to get 50% of my estate and all that. There has to be a will. Also, here is our cohabitation agreement to show that we were in a cohabitation agreement, we were doing things together, he was contributing, I was contributing. So if you do choose to live together without being legally married, at the very least you need to ensure that your partner and yourself, you have a cohabitation agreement that you have entered into, that you have drafted, that you have signed, and it addresses all the risks that you face when you are a cohabitating couple. And furthermore, having a valid will also ensure that each party in the cohabitation is adequately provided in the event of a tragedy. So that is basically what I wanted to share with you guys, to say, as much as we don't like talking about serious stuff when we are in a relationship and it's all nice and hunky-dory, there are certain things, my dear brothers and sisters, that you need to talk about. I hope this video will help you out or help anybody in your life that you know is in a fight and that type of situation, to just talk to them, to just ask them that, Cindy, you guys are not married, you have kids, you have cars, you have houses, you have that. Have you guys entered into a cohabitation agreement? So, from me to you guys is peace out. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't subscribed. And if you want to be notified every time I upload a video, click on the bell so that you are on the notification gang. Please also follow me on my social media, Instagram, Mapula_Setosa_. Thank you so much, and watch out for my next video. I don't know if it's going to be a vlog, if it's going to be a lawyer corner, but it's going to be lit. That's what I know. Thank you so much, guys.